Hello and welcome to another Bones V Kickstarter review. Today we'll be looking at the second group of add-ons that I managed to pick up, and as the title suggests, we'll be looking at the two giant add-ons, the Fire Giant and the Storm Giant, as well as the War Mammoth and the Disapproving Hand Spell Effect. All three of these are currently still available in the 5.5 Pledge Manager. If you're interested in acquiring them or any other Kickstarter item, scan the QR code at the end of the video or visit pm.reapermini.com or reapermini.com for more information. If this is your first time seeing a review in this series, I have many more deep dives on my channel for you to check out. But you can get to them quicker by clicking the card in the corner of the video or by checking out the links in the description. Alright, now without further ado, on with the review. In the Bones V core set, we were sent a variety of clear spell effects, including 3 variations on the spell Big B's Hand. You can see all of these spells in the spell effects section of my core set review video. I have brought the 3 Big B's Hand spell effects though, because, well, this add-on is fairly relevant to that. You know, these 3 spells were the best 3 spell effects in my opinion, but as nice as they are, something was missing. Sure, you can punch, we can impose, we can grasp, but what if we just want to tell a big band to just off? Well, that's where the Disapproving Hand Spell Effect comes in. Now at the cost of a single spell slot, you can tell that red dragon how you really feel. Yeah, so this was a required purchase for me. It may not be all that useful, but I mean, you know, it's just too funny. And hey, I mean, it is a Big B's hand. I mean, I don't know which one it would represent best, but it would represent one of them. This is a humorous 11 out of 12 add-on for me. And if you disagree with that score, then you can... No, I said... never mind. Back when money wasn't as tight and in the before times, I decided to pick up a few add-ons that didn't blow me away, but I knew I'd still appreciate having. This is one of those. The Fire Giant Hellbringer. Fire Giants are sort of like the dwarves of the giant family in D&D, being shorter than the majority of the other giants in the ordering, and fulfilling the role of archetypal master crafters who predominantly dwell within mountains. Volcanic ones in this case. That feels fairly well represented here with this chunky boy. Here he is next to Sir Forescale and the pre-painted WizKid Fire Giant. As you can see, he's a bit shorter than the height of the WizKids model, but he's on par with a lot of other models you can find on the market. Still, at a glance, he is maybe a bit short for a giant. I don't know exactly what this symbol on his shield is, but I believe this represents an organization that is a work of Reaper's own creation, which you can find in a few of their Duragar figures as well. The sharp quality of detail in this guy is really something else, from the recesses in his clothes, to the expression on his face, to the flow of his beard and the etching on his sword. This figure is just really well carved. Another impressive aspect of this figure is the notable lack of flash or mold lines. There are few, but overall this is a clean and smooth figure. Okay, this is another highlight of the figure, the dragon scale cape. I love the use of bone to provide structure and these little tablets dangling down from chains. The bottom of the cape even has what looks like the tip of the dragon's tail. All in all, I'm just very pleasantly surprised by this figure, which I hadn't thought much of before. It's still nothing mind-blowing, but it's a solid 9 out of 12 from me. The second of the only 2 giant add-ons, here we have the Storm Giant. As you can see, this one takes on a sort of Zeus-like figure, wielding a coiled bolt of lightning atop ruined pillars and wearing iconography of Greco-Roman origin. He's quite a tall figure, which is rather fitting, as in D&D, Storm Giants are meant to be the tallest of giants, just barely surpassing the likes of cloud giants. Speaking of which, I mentioned in the Greek Odyssey video that this particular giant would fit well alongside that set, and specifically the cloud giant within, and here I am making good on that promise to show you the two side by side. As you can see, they are indeed very thematically matched, though there is a clear and stark height difference between the two. I've also grabbed the Icons of the Realm Storm Giant from my collection to compare also. Our guy is just a little bit shorter than that model, but they're practically perfectly matched. So this model can really supplement others without much issue. Now the figure itself is, at the end of the day, just a very large person. The detail comes more from the base and the various bits of kit worn across its body. The base is dominated by a broken pillar, while the rest of the figure is dominated by small pieces of armor with thematically appropriate iconography, like krakens on his gauntlets and a very Zeusian pauldron on the left shoulder. Although I'm noticing it has ram horns, so maybe that's more Pan? I think this is indeed a great supplemental figure to pick up if you also picked up the Greek Odyssey expansion, but on its own it's still very impressive, though perhaps not something I'd lose sleep over missing out on. I'm glad I didn't, though. As such, I give this a respectable, but I guess a little bit lower, score of 8 out of 12. Now it's time for one of the largest figures in the entire Kickstarter, the War Mammoth. This thing is truly massive. It positively dwarfs the size of the so-named Pygmy Mammoth from the Bones V Kickstarter. At this rate, that old mammoth might as well be a baby, because, oh boy, this new one could have giants riding around on it, for goodness sake. Another difference between this and the Pygmy Mammoth is the War Mammoth probably won't read as wild creature once you put it down the table. All of the armor and spikes and things really read as something tamed for war, as the name implies. Speaking of the spikes, this doesn't appear to be a typical mammoth. The spikes are protruding from all over its body. It has 2 pairs of tusks, as opposed to the traditional one, and part of its spine has formed a ridge along its lower back, and there's just bits of wear and tear all over this thing that makes it look like it almost has mange or it's undead or something. With all this in consideration, I think this would more appropriately be a dire mammoth of sorts. You could also, I suppose, use this in a Warhammer Fantasy battle as a stand-in for a Chaos War Mammoth. In terms of utility, its tusks are the perfect size for sweeping whole parties or regiments aside, and its sheer scale makes it feasible to use as a mount for multiple players, or one really big giant foe. I should note that this figure is also very easy to assemble. Aside from the little bits that would fall off otherwise, the entirety of the figure is just friction locked into place. No glue required, which is always a win. All in all, a very good, very cool piece. The armor and the dire elements hurt the versatility a little bit, but the rest make up for it. I give this add-on an 11 out of 12. And with that, we conclude our second set of add-on reviews. Which of these was your favorite? Let me know in the comments down below. You can expect many more of these shorter form review videos to come, wherein I will break down nearly every add-on from this Kickstarter. For the bigger sets of figures, be sure to check out the review playlist for the core set and the expansion showcases. And if you see anything in there or in these you are interested in buying, head to pm.reapermini.com or reapermini.com for more information, or scan the little QR code on the screen. If you found this video helpful, enjoyable, or some other adjective, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out, and seeing your support really genuinely makes my day. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Let's go paint some minis.